who say anime can't be educational. And if you think Oshinoko is only about industry gossip, I will make it life-changing for you. A big part of Oshinoko is the concept of life, but still related to that, whether it meant to or not, the show gives us a glimpse into how people can really thrive even under crushingly stressful situations. And in this video, I'm diving deep into that, testing these ideas against real research on human nature. I was getting way too excited about it, and now I'm bringing you 10 easy steps for you to implement it immediately. And because this is about Oshinoko, let's start with one of the biggest entertainer in the world. The name Beyonce. Look, if you don't know Beyonce, I don't know what to say to you, man. You have a problem. And being a weeb can't even excuse it. Named one of the most influential culture figure in the 21st century. One of the most iconic singer all the time. 32 Grammy Awards. And the best part of all, she's kinda memeable. Well, it makes her relevant for us small brainers. What I wanna bring about Beyonce is her third album, released in November 12, 2008. It's a double album, but what makes it really unusual is its title. It's titled I Am Sasha Fierce. Who the hell is Sasha Fierce? Now, some of you might immediately know roughly where I'm going with all this when you hear Sasha Fierce. But what's all of this have to do with Oshinoko? Here's the link. Season 2. If we are talking about Season 2, that means La La Lai, the theater arc, and yes, acting. So to really get what's happening here, let's dive into what's going on inside the minds of actors when they step into a role. I was a theater kid in my teenage years. For a good 4 or 5 years, I acted on stage, I dealt with stuff behind the scenes, you know, those kind of stuff. 2 things I want to share with you. 1, Asian theater kid, my condolences because we were stigmatized. Oh my god, it was like early 2010s for me and they called me gay, acting is for sissies. Yeah, you get the point. Heck, even teachers hated us for some ungodly unknown reasons. But the second thing I want to tell you, acting slaps. And if you watch Oshinoko, acting really slaps there too. One standout moment, for me at least, is when Melt, the best boy, hands down, finally level up his emotional acting. He nails a scene by truly getting the emotions his character is going through, which funnily enough mirrors his own struggles as a pretty average actor in a group of geniuses. So basically, his experience outside acting makes his acting better. But what we're looking for is the other way around. And of course, they also delve into it. Here's what I mean. In Season 1, this is Aqua's remark on acting.
何かしら演じてたらその役が鎧になる。素の自分を晒しても傷つくだけ。
To keep your real self from too much unwanted criticism and scrutinize, you act. So at least, acting can act as a defensive tool. What's happening here is called self-separation. Think of self-separation as creating a buffer between who you truly are and the version of yourself that others see. This separation frees you from the feeling of your innermost identity is on display for everyone to poke at or judge. But there's so much more in acting than just a defensive mean. Another case, let's bring another character here, named Yuki. Yuki here wakes up every day and chooses violence every time. She looked at the sentence, acting to protect yourself, and said, nah, dude. Still as Yuki, she used acting with some intention and strategizing to modify just a little bit of her character. She did it, of course, because she wanted to be the main star of the show. And she did become that for a pretty long time before she got dethroned. But whatever. The main point here, one way to explain that example is that acting actually helps you because it facilitates you in cognitive reframing. This is the process of shifting your mindset to view a situation from a new perspective. It helps you see challenges or tasks in a more manageable way. By the way, self-separation also helps. It is shown that self-separation helps you in choosing more objective choices. So all in all, acting is good. But come on, that's only like half of the puzzle here. And I say that because when we talked about Yuki before, I mentioned that she was dethroned, and this is the thumbnail of this video. So we can still dive so much deeper just because one simple reason. Because Akane Kurokawa is here. Okay, some months ago, I made a video about Akane Kurokawa. In that video, I dove pretty deep into this scene.
もうカメラ回ってる?
In the previous video, I actually downplayed that scene so much. You can't even call this acting anymore. Well, of course, what do I know? I don't even do acting anymore, but that's beside the point. What I wanna say, if you can act like that, you're basically unstoppable. The question is why, and why it's different from what we were talking about before. This is when Akane absolutely abused her skill to gain everything. Akane knew Ai's strength, and although at first it was just to grab Aqua's attention, what she didn't anticipate is that Ai's charm that she showed was exactly what she, in her career and her circumstances, needed. Sounds familiar? For Akane, it's Ai Hoshino. For Beyonce, it's Sasha Fierce. You see, Beyonce came from a religious family that loved gospel music. Beyonce was a raised Methodist, and in her early days, she sang at St. John's United Methodist Church. Because of that influence, at the early days, Beyonce found it difficult to perform a more suggestive songs and dances. Understandable if you know her background. So how did she solve it? She didn't. She created something to solve it for her. Sasha Fierce solved it. And uniquely, when I researched the topic of this video, I found out that this is pretty common in highly stressful fields. Another example, Bo Jackson, an all-star in 2 sports. One of the greatest athletes, that's for sure. He himself said in one book that I read to research about this topic that Bo Jackson never played a down of football in his entire life. The story is, in his early days of playing, he couldn't keep his emotion in check, especially anger. Anger to some degree is good in competition, but too much of it in anything really will only drag you down. Then one day he became really fascinated by one name, Jason. Unemotional, relentless, cold, that Jason. So he stopped being Jackson on the field and started being Jason. Sasha Fierce is literally Beyonce with different set of attitude. That Jason is the monster Bo Jackson let out, and then it made him a football legend. And this, what we are talking about now, is the science of alter ego. Why don't we do enough? In Oshinoko, Kanarima is the one character who really gets that struggle. She's a perfect example of what can hold people back. In one scene, without even saying anything, she shows why we, sometimes, just don't reach our full potential. Fear, doubt, skill issue, imposter syndrome, and sometimes, it's kind of a me problem. Like our personality, habits getting in the way. The point is, we are made like this by our experiences. And that overall attitude we have sometimes isn't the best fit for what we are trying to do. I think you notice, when the vibe's off, it's kind of hard to get those big, amazing results you're dreaming of. Now, before we continue, I need to remind you about something really obvious. Some of our problems have obvious answers. No amount of acting is gonna fix a skill issue. If you can't dance, if you can't code, you're just gonna have to learn how to do that first. But what about when you're lacking in self-esteem, for example, or you're just not feeling it for some reason? It's not that you're totally incapable. You know deep down you could probably do it, but still, the right moves just won't come out. And please, don't let anyone give you that dumb advice, just be confident. I mean, might as well say to me, just get taller. It's over for me. It's not helpful. Either they have no idea what real confidence means, or they're just messing with you. And this is when an alter ego comes in. It's all about finding a way to act better, so good even you can outsmart the emotions, experiences, and shenanigans holding you back. But wait, I hear you asking, what? How is this different from just acting? Because not gonna lie, it sounds really like acting. Okay, for that, it's important to think yourself as an actor and the playwright. You don't just accept a role, you make sure it's helpful for you. And a little spoiler for the next part, when you create an alter ego purposefully like this, you need their backstory and beliefs to resonate with you. So in that sense, we can say that it's an extension from just acting. And if you think this sounds weird, well, fair enough, because it is weird, but listen up. Real examples that I brought, Beyonce, Bo Jackson. I actually can bring you many more examples. People in high pressure fields have been doing this for years. Entertainers, athletes, and there's a whole lot of psychological research backing it up. One of the most well-known, you probably ever heard about the Batman effect? Well, that's one. And guess what? It's free. It's DIY stuff. So the question becomes, how do we do that? Well, okay, let's break it down. So if you're going to do this, you're going to write a lot. So open your note-taking app, get a paper and pen, and also the 10 steps I'm gonna share here are based on Todd Herman's book, The Alter Ego Effect. I have made it as simple as possible without leaving too much crucial steps, but just so you know that this method isn't mine. Just a messenger here. Okay, step 1. Where's the net? For now, think about why you're doing this. There's a feeling probably you are trying to avoid, like feeling helpless, or a habit you want to get out of. Write them all up, without too much thinking. Try 10 for a starter. Step 2. We are going to define something called the field of play. So what's the specific area of your life where you need this alter ego? Is it work, family, something else? Well, that's basically your field of play. Just pick one for now. For example, maybe you choose school presentation. It's a lame example, but I'ma use that anyway. And then after that, step 3, we are starting to go really specific. What's the exact thing you're struggling with? We call this the moment of impact. If your field of play is presentation, it might be you wanna stop avoiding eye contact and stop lowering your vocal volume. And now, step 4, after writing all that while crying, it's easier for you to define what belief or pattern of thinking that's holding you back all this time. Following my lame example of presentation, there are beliefs that makes you just stuck at it without much progress. You feel that presenting is for nerds. It's lame, even though you need to be good at it. You think it's just really tedious. And now step 5, now is the fun part. We are going to flip everything you've written so far. For this step, remember that where's the net part? Now make it the opposite. For example, if your where's the net is stop feeling hard work, then write the opposite. Start feeling at peace when working hard. And now step 6, it's finally time to create your alter ego. Or maybe not. You can totally start with a character you already love. Think about it. If you've ever asked yourself, how would this character deal with my problems, for example, then you might already have someone or something in mind. And it can be all sort of things. It can be an animal. It can be like 2B, or maybe you feel Frieren is such your spirit animal. Well, that might work. Just keep in mind what we are talking about before, that it needs to be useful for you in your field of play when your moment of impact comes. But of course, you can make one yourself. Here's how. First, core ability. How do you define your alter ego with 3 words or phrases? If we take Aqua, it's stoic, analytical, capable. Take Kana Arima, it's sharp tongue, gullible, and I don't know why Aqua can stand. Choose core abilities or core traits that will help you the most. Next, vibe check. It's pretty straightforward. What's the vibe of your alter ego? What kind of energy do you want them to give off? Maybe you want them like Ruby from her happier, carefree days. Positive, upbeat, the type who lights up the room. Or are you going more of a Kana vibe, someone a bit sharper, more realistic, not afraid to tell it like it is? And how do they dress? Now, this is when it gets pretty tricky, because we are talking about beliefs now. In short, you want your alter ego to have beliefs that should help you in your field of play and during your moments of impact. Just follow this method. 1. You negate your limiting beliefs that you should have listed now. And 2. You add beliefs that are in line with your alter's core abilities. And 5. We were using characters from Oshinoko for an example before, so let's do that again. So taking Akane as an example, it's something like, I know I am a good actor. I know I am good at immersing myself into a role. I know I can use acting anywhere, those kind of stuff. But for some of you, this might be a little bit hard, and I agree with you. Instilling beliefs is a hard ask, so that's why we need to spice things up a little bit by creating a backstory. Look, we all nerds know how crucial a backstory is. It's what separates a throwaway NPC from a character that you actually care about. It's the reason behind every belief, vibe, action, and ability your alter ego has. And the best part, you've already got the traits listed out. Just let loose and craft a backstory that really resonates with you. Make it something personal and compelling that you feel a real connection to this character when you read it. But here's how you can do it faster. Write in list, use bullet points. Don't make a paragraph, just go crazy with that bullet points. Also, don't forget, if they don't have one already, give your alter ego a name, of course. And that's it, you've got yourself an alter ego. But wait, there's more! You've got all of this juicy info about how they act, their backstory, so stepping into their shoes will be a breeze. But still, you want a signal to use them in action. There are a couple of reasons for this. 1. We want to condition yourself to a specific trigger, and 2. That trigger will be really beneficial when you're facing a more emotional and stressful situations. It's like making a switch that you can just grab anytime in any circumstances. Just grab an item you can wear and perform a simple ritual with it. It can be as simple as wearing a cheap armband and then tapping it twice, and then after that try to feel it in your skin that you're being replaced. We talked about the vibe before. Try to channel their vibe. My pro tip is to start with their facial expression. Just feel how different your face muscles before you wear the ring and after you wear it. Picture yourself looking through the eyes of your alter. Act like them. Be them. Just make sure to respond when people call your name. And there you have it. Use that alter ego however you want. Feel free to comment "I'm Batman" in the comment. I need some laugh. But you know, the crazy part is that I am sure for some of you, you're already familiar with this method, especially especially if you're a creative person. You might already be doing this, just in a more casual, unintentional way without putting that much thought or method into it. And here's the best part of this. No matter who your alter ego is, it's still you. That confident alter ego, that's still you. We're just putting aside the worries, the fears that usually hold you back for a moment to act better. And honestly, is there a better lie to tell yourself than this? I guess not many can top this.